So it really is just nothing more than a backdoor tax on the poor. A quick fix to our budget problems that will lead to, down the road, much more severe long-term problems. By the way, I want to mention that this is the same crowd that said the lottery would fix everything 20 years ago, and here they are again asking for more gambling. The second step is to tighten our belt, and that's hard, but that's what we're doing this year. We can streamline government services and eliminate waste. And let me tell you, after working in the Transportation Cabinet for the last 3 or so years, there are many good, hardworking professionals there, but I saw a lot of redundant jobs that could be eliminated. We could streamline and make it more efficient and use taxpayer dollars better. It hurts, but it's better than increasing taxes on hardworking Americans. And finally, we need to implement progressive, forward-thinking changes to bring Kentucky's economy into the 21st century. The Wall Street Journal last December did a study that they commissioned from the American Legislative Exchange Council. It was a comprehensive study comparing all 50 states, and Kentucky was listed as the 5th worst in the nation to do business in. They used 16 factors to look. And what made the problem worse for us is the 5th best state in the union is Tennessee. So they're right next door, so all this business is going there. What we need to do is lower our tax rates, simplify the tax code, encourage small business entrepreneurship, continue growing an educated workforce, and pass a right-to-work law in Kentucky. Only by growing our economy, by bringing in new jobs and industry, will we be able to fund priorities like education, getting teacher salary parity, which is a goal of mine, getting new roads and bridges, and finally, trying to bring our healthcare crisis under control.
This is an area that I really like to look at a lot because raising kids and it's difficult in an economic environment, and my wife's pretty good at this. She makes me stay on about keeping a budget. Bottom line is you have to live within your means. But it's a twofold answer. The only way we're going to really get the things we need, I call them the 3 H's. Highways, healthcare, and hope. Highways, healthcare, and hope. The only way we're going to get these things will be twofold. One is cut the wasteful spending. As Mr. Swan stated, there's quite a bit of that we can do in certain jobs, maybe elimination or certain fees, things like that. The other is we've got to be realistic and look at some other revenue. I've publicly stated in a forum at Campbellsville's on television that I would not oppose a 30-cent per pack tax on cigarettes if the money is earmarked. And this is from a guy whose brother raises 40 acres of tobacco and his mother smokes, and I've been told her she can't kill me over that. If the money is earmarked for health care, for education, and for farmers to go back to take care of those needs, I can support that. At the same time, if that ever comes about, and I'd say it will eventually, I'm going to be the one saying, all right, now we need to tax alcohol. Because if you tax cigarettes, you need to tax alcohol also. Every one of us have been receiving, and I'm sure if your family members, you know this, we've been getting surveys from all these interest groups about every other day, and we sit up at 4 o'clock in the morning and fill them out. Well, we got this tax survey the other day, and it asked if I would pledge to sign this no tax form. And it listed about 10 of our state senators that already signed it, and about 40 of our representatives that have signed it. And I go back and tell my wife, I pitch it down and say, look at this. I said, I can't in good conscience sign this. Now, I'm opposed to all taxes. If you look at my website, my stuff, I'm talking about being conservative with our tax money, because it's mine too. But we must face the possibility of some taxes being raised. Had that stated, would you oppose all income tax possibility? I would sign in a heartbeat, because we pay enough income tax already. But the question wasn't that. It said, would you oppose all tax? And I would support the 30-cent pack tax on cigarettes. I would also support an alcohol tax if it comes about. I do agree also that we must tighten the belt. And I am opposed to casinos. I agree with Mr. Swan. I think it's basically a backdoor tax on the poor. However, I've had people ask me about having people to vote. Well, my view on that is that it would be a misrepresented vote. You could win 10 states and be the President of the United States out of 50 because of the Electoral College. if it came to ballot vote, the cities, the large areas that will be getting the casinos, the large populated areas would vote for that. What does that mean to rural Kentucky? It's not going to help us at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin. Mr. Montgomery?
You know, of course, every governor that's taken office has always said there's no money in the budget. But then they seem to find money that they didn't know about. And of course, they've been scrambling in Frankfurt to find money. They found by refinancing their debt, they could come up with several $1 million. But my idea, I'm not for adding tax. I want you to understand that up front. However, I remember in the 70s, President Nixon, he gave us a 10% investment credit. And for any money that we would spend on plant and equipment, we could use 10% of that was non-taxable. And that particular year, I bought over $200,000 worth of equipment. And sure enough, after I filed my tax return, my corporate tax return, while the IRS was there to see the equipment, they wanted to see the invoices, they inspected everything to make sure that that's the way it was. And I feel like that if we could have some incentives to produce more tax money, because a $30,000 a year job would produce $1,500 in Kentucky tax. 10 jobs would produce $15,000, 100 jobs would produce $150,000, and 1,000 jobs would produce $1.5 million in added revenues to the state. And all we'd have to have is a few little incentives for business to do that. We have we have CRETA in Taylor County, and Lebanon has used up their CRETA credits because their unemployment is it's less than the state average, but Adair County and Taylor County still can use CRETA credits. So that is a great incentive for people to come into our area and to build plants and so forth. And I think that's what we need. I think we need incentives for these plants to come in to build by offering them tax credits.
Thank you, Mr. Montgomery. Mr. Mullins?
I think we all can agree that Kentucky has about enough taxes, especially in terms of the income tax and the state sales tax. I know for years the agency that I worked for had great difficulty getting people to come to Kentucky to work because of the tax burden. The agency was divided into regional sections, and our region, Kentucky was the northernmost state in our region, the Atlanta region. And nobody from Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, or Florida wanted to come to Kentucky for a promotion because it would cost them money. Getting a promotion, getting a raise would cost them money. Therefore, we missed out on having an interchange of talent from Kentucky out and from other states in. I think that parallel can be drawn to the development of industries and things, and giving industry and other economic development methods, tax breaks, tax incentives, to encourage them to come here. Also to encourage outstanding people to come here to work. We also need to create these jobs so that the outstanding students that we develop here will stay. Kentucky, particularly in the rural areas, has long had a brain drain, where the people that we trained and educated and brought up and took such great pride in went to other states to work because they could make more money and pay less taxes.